Welcome back. They say a giving hand is a blessed hand. On Mandela Day, people spend the day doing good deeds in remembrance of the late Nelson Mandela. There are calls to assist Roodepoort child welfare by donating food and other items to assist the needy. To tell us more about this great initiative, we're joined by the Centre's Dr. Rakeshni Prichel and Maria Sabole. A very good morning to the two of you. Thank you so much for joining us. I suppose it's better to just start with context and help the viewers understand just how bad the situation is, if it is bad at all, or is this just a matter of adding on to what it is you already have?
The situation is quite dire at the moment, especially post the COVID pandemic and the July 2021 strike action. Even though we're an NPO in the Roodepoort area, our biggest challenge is that we actually cover statutory services over 33 areas, communities spanning Krugersdorp, Soweto, and we are trying our best of our ability to try help these children and vulnerable communities in our care. The biggest challenge we face right now focuses on child-headed households, single-parent families, loss of income. Maria here, maybe you want to share some things.
Yes, thank you, Rakeshni. Good morning, Morana Mutupi. Like Rakeshni has already mentioned, that the cases that we normally are struggling with is child-headed household, children often due to HIV and COVID-19 pandemic, teenagers with behavioral issues, behavioral problems, marital conflict, where children's best interests are being compromised. And the lack of income, especially after the July 2021 strike action and the COVID-19 pandemic, have left a number of families destitute. And hence, the basic needs of children, women, and elderly are severely compromised. These are some of the cases we handle at Child Welfare South Africa.
Maria, how many children are we speaking of here? How many children are at the Roodepoort Child Welfare?
We are talking about 680 children. Those are families. And then it's about 8,000 children that we service in the community.
So, I mean, obviously... Sorry, Dr. Rakeshni, I just wanted to say, and I think perhaps you can help me unpack this, is I would imagine that Mandela Day, 67 minutes, to essentially deal with a situation as dire as this many kids, this many families, is just essentially going to be a drop in the pond. I would imagine you would then be asking people to, yes, come out for 67 minutes, see the children, see the facility, understand what it is we're dealing with, but do not stop only on Mandela Day.
Absolutely.
We want everyone to come out today if you have some time. We hope that you can start by 67 rands on Mandela Day. We are very privileged this year. We have Let's Work, which is an NPO in the community in Ward 88, headed by Felicity Lawler, who is coming out and donating 670 liters of soup and bread. And today's Mandela Day celebration is actually getting the community together, celebrating them, letting it be a day for children and even elderly to sit down for 1 minute, 67 minutes, and feel appreciated, that the weight on their shoulders are no longer a burden for them to continue, that we are there to support them. So if anyone's free, available today, please join us. We are at 45 Du Toit Street, Discovery Roodepoort. And Maria, you are the contact person, right?
Yes, my contact numbers are 082 458 7021. 082 458 7021.
You raise an important point, Dr. Rakeshni, one that I want to then bring to the attention of Maria. Maria, Dr. Rakeshni is talking about how just for that very brief time, if people could come in, lend a hand, volunteer, give some time, just to firstly understand what it is you, as Maria and all the other social workers at the facility go through on a daily basis, but also to essentially understand how serious the situation, not only at the Roodepoort Child Welfare Centre is, but just at child welfare centres across the country. Just speak to us about how tough it tends to get? Because I think that's not a question that you, Maria, as a social worker, get asked very often. How tough does it get having to deal with these issues, deal with these children's traumas, these families' traumas on a daily basis when you yourself have your own issues?
You know, Morana, the most difficult issues is when we have foster parents that are willing to take children and we place them in place of safety, and there's no food, and they are willing to take these kids, but we struggle to get them to get the food because it takes about 3 months for them to be in the system, for them to their cases to be through from the courts so that they can start getting their foster care grants. So that's where we start asking for donations to give them food so that they can, on a daily basis, continue with their lives.
Just to add to what Maria was saying, some of the dire situations, I think, is for social workers specifically, is removing a child from a home plagued with violence or drug abuse, taking them away from a mother that's loving but just can't afford to put food on the table. I think those are painful interventions to put in place, but they also need to focus on making sure that the children are safely put into alternate care and that alternate care is trained, that they are ratified by the system, and that they are in the space where they have clothing, infrastructure, non-perishable foods that can be utilized to save these kids and take care of them, knowing that they're doing our community a big service and that they themselves are contributing to the Madiba legacy.
Dr. Rakeshini, I don't want to be the messenger of doom, but I'm sure you would understand and agree with me when I say that Mandela Day and all of the charitable initiatives that are out there are going to be not necessarily forgotten, but they're going to sit on the back burner because up next is Women's Month. And now the focus becomes, gender-based violence and femicide in South Africa, which is a topic every single day, but it tends to also take a back burner and sit back to things like, mass murders that are now happening in the townships across the country. So you would agree, I would imagine, that come next month, people are not going to be worrying about child welfare and child-headed households and donating and such. People are focusing on it right now. Just that then lends to, what government should be doing, how government perhaps should be the ones that are at the forefront, making sure that this topic of child-headed households stays at, top of mind for South Africans. And that, yes, while we are also talking about, GBV and femicide, while we're also talking about crime and mass murders and such, the high cost of living, we do not forget the children of South Africa. How would you then want government to step in and make sure that that topic stays hot?
I think one of the things we have to face here is the dire situation of where we are as a country. We are plagued by social crimes and social issues, that no child and no woman have to go through. But regrettably, consistently, it's children and women that are at the receiving end of these crimes. And what we ask everybody to do is let's focus on education here. And this is one of the things Maria and her team do exceptionally well across the 33 areas. They go to schools, they have anti-bullying campaigns, education about respecting genders, trying to mobilize and empower the next generation. So it's not just about children and women. It becomes something about the way in which we change our behaviors. We are now moving forward and looking forward to a brighter future. And we strongly believe that education is at the core of it all. So in terms of government coming to the fore, we're not saying we want book and pencil. We want morals and values embedded in a society that drives the next generation.
Dr. Maria, we will leave it there with you. Thank you so much for just coming onto the show and sharing your story. And I hope it's a story that, will be heard across the country for other child centers, that do need the same kind of help you do. But we really do appreciate your time. That is Dr. Rakeshini Ramotha-Prishil. Of course, she's the chairperson of the board of Child Welfare SA Roodepoort region. And then, of course, she was with Maria Sebule, who is a social worker at Child Welfare. Of course, just saying that for Mandela Day and days to come after that, could you please just come in, donate not only money, but also your time, and just come and see what exactly it is, child welfare centers are dealing with.